most common thing we hear is, I was up against two other companies. We were quoting the same job. We were the ones who came in and spoke about the potential of the tax credit. The others didn't, and we won the job because of that.
This is the one and only, the original podcast where you can find yours and your business's true value. You're listening to Our Value.
Brought to you by America's insulation source, IDI Distributors.
You want to hear from the best contractors, suppliers, and consultants that dedicate themselves to more than just survival in the business world?
Industry professionals that are dedicated to excellence in every aspect of their business.
Our Value has them all here to share that same motivation and knowledge with you. Tune in and grow a more successful, profitable, educated, and recognized business. Listen to the Our Value podcast to become the industry leader in your market. Find your value with Our Value.
Well, I would like to welcome all of you to the Our Value podcast today. We have a returning guest with us, one that we have had on before. We are talking to the illustrious Peter Trost of Energy Circle, which is, as many of you have heard me say before, one of the, if not the, top marketing company in our industry. Peter, how are you today?
I am awesome, Ken. Great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I love having you. And actually, folks, this podcast is about something that probably might be near and dear to some of you, but I would tell you, we've talked about NEMA in the past, the Insulation Manufacturers Association, and the fact that they sponsored an Energy Circle with capital on your behalf for the whole get out the message of 25C, and that spawned the website 25C Means Business, the whole 25C Means Business program. And Peter, last time you were with us, you shared with us the launch of the 25C Means Business program. That episode was one of our highest watched. I just got word back it was number 2 for last year, but a shout out for that. But for those who haven't heard about this before, can you start by just giving a brief on what the 25C Means Business program is?
The 25C Means Business program, sponsored, as you said, by NEMA, the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, is a free program for contractors to support them in the marketing of the 25C tax credit. And so NEMA has funded and sponsored the development of a wide array of marketing materials, from web pages to blog posts to infographics to Facebook posts to advertising, Google ad copy, Facebook ad copy. It's a very broad array of materials. And we did some math. We have a lot of stats now on the utilization of the program. There's about 200 contractors that we just crossed the 200 mark in the number of contractors are availing themselves of the program. And those that have really taken full advantage, they've really maximized all of the available assets in the program, probably have gotten $20,000 worth of materials at no cost to them. So this program, thanks to NEMA's generosity, is 100% free. There's no strings attached. There's no litmus test as to what type of insulation you happen to install or sell in terms of your eligibility for the program. And it's been really successful and very rewarding, I think, for us to see people taking advantage of it and people making meaningful differences in their business. So for going into 2025, the program continues. The content that we have created in this library is being refreshed, so there's more content, and the offer remains. But I do want to say that it is not going to last forever. I think as generous as NEMA has been with this, I think at some point in 2025, probably around tax day in April, this program is not going to be free anymore. So I think it'll still exist, but it'll probably require contractors to contribute. But between now and then, 100% free, 100% available to anybody who just simply signs up and wants to get into the program and take advantage of it. In addition to us providing all these materials, you get the full support of Energy Circle. So if a company needs help posting things to their website, if they need help with things technically around the website, that's part of the program. Our team is available, and it starts with a simple call just to figure out exactly what you want. We customize the materials for you. We create a library individually for that particular contractor, and then we're kind of off to the races.
You said a lot there. So let's go back a little bit, because one of the things that happened pretty quickly, you mentioned until April. Is that so? Currently, all of the materials are free until that time?
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so it becomes imperative then they really need to get with your team and get signed up soon so that they actually have some time to maybe do round one and round two. Is that something you would advise?
Yes, exactly. I think the sooner the better. I think if you look at some of the examples of what has happened as a result of people taking advantage of this program, I think everybody knows that content is kind of the mother's milk of web performance, right? And it is a difficult thing for most companies to have kind of robust content. And we've got some examples now through this program where people have taken a 1, 2, 3, 4 page simple website and turned it into a multi-page, robust, content-rich website that has had dramatic improvements in performance. And one thing I do want to emphasize, it's very obvious, I think, to probably everyone listening, that the primary purpose of this, and the reason NEMA and all of the manufacturers are doing this, is to promote the utilization of the 25C tax credit. At the same time, a lot of the content we've created is around the reasons you would want insulation, right? And the case for insulation being supported by the fact that you can take advantage of this tax credit. So it is not, I want to emphasize, it's not 100%, well, here's information about the tax credit, here's how to take advantage of it. All of that exists, but there's a lot of very general and good information and good content in this library that is just about the benefits and advantages of insulation.
You mentioned something last time we talked, and that's the fact that it's a concierge service. And for people that don't understand what that means, we're talking about the fact that all they've got to do is reach out. You're going to have an expert on your end that's going to walk them through the process, help them detail out what's going to make the biggest impact, the soonest with what they've got, and get that in there. And to your point, that's free until April. I can't imagine why someone wouldn't jump in. So on a first contact, how much can we get done? Or I guess what I'm looking at is, you've seen those 200 contractors come in. Were they of just widely varying resources to begin with, or were most of them that 1 to 2 page website, maybe 4 page website, and you guys are helping them develop this, we'll just call it presence online?
Yeah, it's really across the board, Ken. I mean, obviously, this is a huge advantage to smaller companies that don't necessarily have a lot of resources to have a robust website. But there are some quite big companies in here that are sophisticated marketers that are good at what they do, and they've taken advantage of it as well. I want to emphasize here that everything that we produce is customized to you. So it's your company name, your specific call to action, references to your specific service area, so that you can helps you with your kind of performance in local search in your key towns and key zip codes. So it's really been gratifying, I think, that to see that it is so broad based, from literally companies that have stood up a website based on this content from almost nothing, all the way to companies with rich, long-standing websites that have simply used it as additive to what they already have. A key component of the package is our blog posts, and there's a whole library of them. They're intended to be utilized sort of throughout the seasons of the year. So as we enter into heating season, as we enter into cooling season, as we enter the end of the year, and we have a rush at the end of the year to get jobs done so that they could be eligible for the tax credit. So that whole library exists, and that I think for even the bigger companies has been really well received. And we're going to keep building this out. So for 2025, we're going to have a whole nother round. So the library is just getting bigger and bigger, and 100% of it's available to everybody. And again, for those who are perhaps not as sophisticated in the world of digital marketing, part of the concierge service that you get from Energy Circle is to help you strategically decide what's the best way for your business, for your particular lines of business to take advantage of the program.
So when I consider that lone contractor, some of them, they're always busy. I wouldn't say they're a one-man show, but not far from it. Their time is gone, and they don't have a team to support a lot of these things like social media and that. What would you recommend they do?
Well, look, I mean, I think it's a half an hour phone call with our team. Jackie, who leads the project for Energy Circle, gets on the phone with you and just talks it through, right? And you will effectively come away with a little mini strategy for how you can best take advantage of it as it relates specifically to your business objectives, right? So if you're trying to grow in a particular geography, or you've got a new line that you're trying to grow more quickly, or you've got a new competitor in your market that you're really trying to sort of differentiate from based on kind of utilizing this content, all of that comes out in that onboarding call. And we can then customize things and develop them in unique aspects. I do think the stories we're hearing from the field of the 200 plus folks that are using the program, probably the one that is, I think the most common thing we hear is, I was up against two other companies we were quoting the same job. We were the ones who came in and spoke about the potential of the tax credit as a piece of that. The others didn't, and we won the job because of that. So it's just, we've heard just so much good, positive anecdotal information from lots and lots of folks around the country. Suddenly I'm ranking for search terms that I never ranked for before. I'm winning jobs in a competitive environment. People are impressed by the fact that we know about this, and we are showing ourselves to be a very different kind of contractor because of our sophistication around the eligibility of the tax credit. It's all been really positive and very gratifying for us to be able to help people out.
That is excellent. And it sounds like you're hearing about a lot of wins then.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of wins at all levels of company sophistication. And it's sort of obvious for that smaller company that doesn't have an aggressive or sophisticated ongoing marketing effort. You can really stand yourself up and make significant initial progress by utilizing all of this content. But then again, for those more sophisticated companies that are leveraging these blog posts, and suddenly they're now able to publish something every 2 weeks or every month, big advantage.
Now that we've got a new administration, I'm sure you're getting a lot of questions about the status of the tax credit. Can you share a bit about the insights on what you guys see there?
Well, I don't want to try to read the political tea leaves. There's obviously a lot of uncertainty and volatility in terms of what's going on with respect to the tax credit. As a small business person thinking about how do you deal with this, is that there's a possibility that the time frame of the current iteration of the 25C tax credit, which is supposed to last for another 7 years in current law, it could get shortened up, right? I mean, I think that's maybe speculating and guessing a little bit, but that seems to me, as a thoughtful business person, that a reasonable premise, a reasonable hypothesis is this thing doesn't last as long as we originally thought it might, right? And in which case, the urgency of taking advantage of it is even higher. And so that's kind of my perspective on it, Ken. I think it exists. It's in effect today. And if you make a bet that, okay, maybe this goes away at the end of 2025, or it only has 2 more years of life instead of 7 more years of life, that makes the urgency of taking advantage of it all that much more important. And I think especially if that comes to pass, the market demand, the awareness of, okay, this is not lasting as long as it might, suddenly starts to drive the market even more, which would be really exciting.
Yeah, I think that would be a great time to get out there and let people know, hey, we do this. We support you in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So the end of 2024, I don't know about every contractor, but a lot of ours, the end of 2024 was a bit of a question mark for some of these guys. And I know you see lead metrics and marketing results from across the nation. Now that things are settled down a little, have you guys at Energy Circle, how are you seeing consumers trending?
Yeah, really good question. And I think we continue to be in this somewhat funky market environment, right? Where the demand on its own is relatively flat. Of course, what we're all coming to terms with now is the post-COVID era. In some ways, we've just gone back to normalcy, right? We've kind of forgot what the world was like, and we lived through this time in which everybody wanted to fix their homes, and now we're back to kind of normal. What we are seeing is that when you are ever in a situation in which the amount of market demand is not sort of sufficient to kind of fill up, to keep your crews busy, to book your calendar week in and week out, there is a need to shift some of your marketing focus from responding to that demand, right? People, when it's cold, the phone rings, and shifting some of that into what we call creating demand, meaning we've got to get the word out about the things that homeowners typically don't understand, right? They almost always automatically think of a wintertime comfort issue as primarily an insulation issue, but not always, right? Sometimes it's, oh, apparently my furnace isn't big enough, right? And so there's all of that self-diagnosis that tends to happen by most homeowners, and so part of this task of having a piece of your marketing program in the form of creating demand is making people aware of the fact that most of the time you ought to fix your building envelope first before you start going down the road of, oh, maybe these heat pumps are the right answer for me, or maybe I'm interested in electrification, or maybe it is time to swap. I think it's time for a larger furnace, or whatever it may be. And so we are actively, on behalf of our clients, spending a bit, shifting some budgets or increasing budgets into this creating demand. That means things like Facebook advertising, other forms of kind of advanced advertising. One of the things that's really interesting and cool these days is that the accessibility of some of these very more sophisticated types of marketing, things like streaming TV, and things like audio across lots of things, right? Streaming radio, things like Spotify and Pandora, but also, for example, advertisements in podcasts, right? This stuff is all now accessible to much smaller businesses on a hyper targeted basis, right? We can go straight in and only show those ads to homeowners in a certain zip code of a certain home value, et cetera. And the good news about all that is it's so targeted that it is incredibly inexpensive, generally speaking, compared to a giant billboard or compared to a standard TV or radio buy. These are hyper targeted and focused, and consequently much cheaper. And I think very effective for what we're talking about now, which is we have to make people aware of things they're not aware of. Things, and that should include the tax credit, right? This thing exists. This would include, hey, especially in the, as we start to move into spring and move into kind of early summer, with temperatures being what they are across the country in the summer, your building envelope, the insulation of your home has everything to do with how comfortable it's going to be in the heat of the summer. So things of that nature that are not typically understood by homeowners is kind of where we're putting a fair amount of effort. Now, I do want to say, though, as has always been the case forever, in installation, temperatures are our best friend, right? And so there have been some cold snaps over the course of the last stretch of 6 weeks and across the country. And boy, is it great to see the phone ringing when it's chilly. So we're still taking advantage of that. But part of what we have to do is even this out. We all know that the spring becomes a very challenging time for insulation contractors. The summer is often a challenging time until we get into that kind of fall jumpstart period. One way to think about marketing, right, is you want to make sure your marketing is set up so that when the environment outside, when cold temperatures, for example, are the things that make the phone ring, you want to be the first one that shows up to get that phone call. And at the same time, in the quieter times, if it's warm or if winter ends early this year, then we need to use marketing to kind of push that market demand that may not exist.
Well, I love that you said to run an ad during a podcast. What it made me feel was guilt that I haven't ever done one during ours. So real quick, next time you're at IDI, don't forget your PPE. That's right. Grab masks, grab gloves, grab staples, grab whatever you need. And remember, they're there to help you grow your company. There we go. See, I did my first ad, Peter. Well, no, I'm just kidding, guys. Obviously, a lot of contractors are on a short budget.
Yeah.
So what do you see as the top marketing investments or strategies they could be taking in the current market?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, this is one of the reasons I think this program is so amazing is that, first of all, nothing that we would do here has any cost to the contractor, right? There's literally nothing. Now, if you want to take advantage of the pre-created Facebook advertising or the pre-created Google Ads advertising, the cost of the advertising would be on the contractor. But the development of the creative materials, the development of the ads themselves, the structuring of the Google Ads campaign, that all is part of the program. So the investment by the contractor can be very small. I would say, in response to your question, that the Google Ads, right, the pay-per-click advertising, where we are putting advertisements in front of people who are specifically searching for specific things, right? Either I think I need attic insulation, or I'm interested in spray foam, or more directly, I am looking for an insulation installer, installation contractor. You want to be there for those very commercially oriented search terms where there is high intent to buy. And the best way to do that is to utilize a very effective kind of Google Ads campaign. And then I think it is making sure that your website and your presence across the internet is well sort of set up to be able to win the kind of natural traffic or organic traffic that is happening when people are out searching. And that's, again, part of the beauty of this program is you get so much content, right? You can go from a stale website that you just haven't had time to update for years, and it's got 3 or 4 or 5 pages, and suddenly you've got the opportunity on Nama's dime to kind of really upgrade your website. That's really good. And then after that, I think you rotate into these other things that are in the more of the demand creation category, where you're putting the word out that that insulation is a solution to the heat in the summer, and there is a tax credit that is available, and there's some urgency around that tax credit, et cetera. So that's sort of, I would say, my rank order of how to approach things, and of course we can help people sort all that out based on their specific needs and specific company goals.
I have to say, more recently, because I love that you said streaming. I'm such a fan of that, but I've heard some grumblings lately about Facebook more recently, and I wasn't sure if it was because it might be this person's strategy that was talking about it, or just changes in consumers on the platform. And so, are there any strategies you've moved away from, or ones that don't seem to get the results that they used to get?
Yeah, I mean, things are so dynamic, right? It's things are changing rapidly, and of course, we are very, very closely watching the rise of AI chat and AI search as a potential to kind of over time to really cannibalize the use of Google as the sort of primary place that everybody goes to do search. It's not major yet, but any of you who are using AI to sort of do any kind of searches find that the experience is really quite good versus the confusing and ad centric kind of approach that Google has taken, right? And so there's that out there. I think, Ken, the main reason I believe that maybe develop a negative opinion about Facebook is if they go into it with the wrong assumptions about what Facebook is about, right? If you put Facebook side by side with Google Ads and you try to measure the number of leads you're getting for the same amount of money versus Google Ads, it's apples and oranges, right? That is not really the purpose. If you think about what I described before, which is this idea that part of your marketing effort has to be in the capturing demand sort of phase, and part of it's got to be in the creating demand. Facebook is in creating demand, right? This is getting the word out. It's showing a billboard of people's posts on Facebook, only though to those people that you have specifically targeted. So it's more about building awareness, and it's really the assisted effect, right? This is what we call an assisted conversion in the geeky world of digital marketing. Is maybe the last click was somebody saw a Google ad, but they got there because they saw a number of Facebook ads, or they saw something in streaming, or they heard a Spotify ad or something like that. And so all of that is sort of working together to sort of bring people to a place where, okay, finally they kind of pick up the phone or they fill out a form, they have a chat session where we can actually kind of capture that lead. So more often than not, it's a false expectation about what the purpose of that specific medium is, such as Facebook. That said, I think your point's well taken. Prices are getting higher in everything. We have to be really good at managing it to keep our budgets in line, and that's doable, right? If these companies, Facebook or Meta and Google, are very good at taking your money, right? And if you are sloppy, right? If you are not sort of on it on a regular basis in terms of the management of your campaign, it's pretty easy to let a lot of money get spent ineffectively. But if you're managing it really closely, you can keep costs down and make sure, again, that it's just in line with the proper expectations of what the purpose of that individual form of advertising is accomplishing within your overall program.
Everything we're talking about is really your ability to drive consumers to, one, know who you are, two, to increase demand in your area, as Peter was saying, but also to build your brand, to create that blue sky that eventually drives the company. And so when we look at the rebates are a tool that someone else is providing to help you grow that business or to motivate the consumer. And I think a good call to action with this would be to look at the fact that when you're considering your representatives, who you've got locally as your politicians, I think right now is a good time where you guys can take action. You can reach out to your local representatives, you can talk to them, you can write them. I think it would be a great time to let them know that the rebates do help your business. The rebates do make better homes in your community. They do make it where we use less energy, but they're vital to what we do. I shouldn't say vital because we can live without them. We have, but I really do believe that they help your business. And if you're in the business of retrofit, I don't think there's a better time than now to reach out to your local representatives, make sure they know your voice, that this really is something their constituents want. On the other side of that, I think you really need to reach out to Energy Circle, get the ball rolling, talk to them about how you can develop your website, get it to the next level. Obviously, these guys are amazing at what they do, but get your strategy in place, get it out there, at least a few weeks under your belt before that April date so that maybe you can even take a second swing while NEMA's paying for it. Peter, closing thoughts?
Well, Ken, I thank you for bringing up the sort of political involvement piece. I mean, that's sometimes not where we all want to go, but the response of the insulation industry in its entirety to this has been really quite extraordinary. There's a letter, a number of folks I'm sure listening we're signers of it. We signed it. IDI signed it. When you get a letter to Congress from 3,000 companies, ranging from 1 and 2 person small businesses throughout the country, all the way to all of the major insulation manufacturers, all of the major HVAC manufacturers, right? This is an extraordinary outpouring of support for this tax credit. It's part of why amidst all the uncertainty, I'm pretty bullish about the ability of us to kind of save it, because the response has been so good. But the more that Congress hears from small businesses in particular about the importance of this, the more likely it is that we can kind of retain it for a long period of time and not just a short period of time. So I'm really appreciate you saying that. The effort has been extraordinary, led in part by NEMA to sort of gather and build up this coalition. Keep in mind, I think most of us know this, but just a reminder that there's a part of the 25C tax credit applies to heat pumps as well. And so the entirety of the HVAC industry is also very, very much in the game of supporting this. So there is an enormous amount of clout, right? And it's very diverse, right? It's in every part of the country, in every state. And it's, I think it gives me quite a bit of hope, but battle's not over. So we got to keep at it. And again, just I think very, very simple process to take advantage of this. If you go to the 25cmeansbusiness.org website, there's a simple sign up. It's very easy. We ask you nothing specific. Just sign up. That'll generate a phone call with our team, and we'll develop a specific plan for you. We'll go through all the available assets that you can take advantage of, customize them for you, build a library specifically for you. And to the extent you need it, we will give you the full support necessary to kind of be able to utilize all these materials.
But for any of you, if you have any questions on the 25C, on the tax credits, on any of the products that we sell, reach out to your IDI representative, reach out to your local branch, reach out to any of us at IDI, where we look forward to earning your business every day.